So the last thing I want to cover is the concept of merging tables. Those of you familiar with SQL will know this process as a join, with the end goal being that you would combine data from multiple tables into a single unified table. Now, you might be asking, why would we even want to do this? Let's discuss a business scenario to better understand the why. So, this begs the question, why do we want to merge tables? Here we have in front of us a Power BI data model. Very similar to our own actually. It shares a sales table, just like ours, and it also shares a product subcategory, and product category table. Now, if you're wondering why you haven't seen this view yet, I am showing you the relationship view in a Power BI desktop file, which we'll cover in the next section. For now, I'm simply using it to outline the need for the merges we'll be doing. The issue we have right now is that we have 3 tables all sharing a single connection to our data table. Without going into too much detail, the more relationships there are between a lookup table and a data table, the greater the performance hit. Each relationship in this chain has a performance cost. The reason it has to be done this way currently is that the sales table only has a product key, so it has to be connected by a relationship to the products table. Continuing up the line, both the product and product subcategory table have subcategory keys, so they can be connected together. Last in the chain is the connection between the product subcategory and product category table, because they also share a common product category key. The problem is that this creates 3 relationships. As an example, the product category information needs to cross all 3 relationships in order to access the sales data, making this neither normalized or optimized for Power BI models. What we want instead is a data model more like this, where we have one table containing all of our product information. With the 3 tables combined into a single products table, we're left with only one relationship, meaning that if we want to see sales data with any product information, it only has to travel one relationship between them. To get slightly technical for a second, these 2 types of data model organization methods are referred to as a snowflake schema and a star schema. Overall, you want to avoid ending up with snowflake schema designs, and try to maintain a star schema design instead, as it is much more optimized for Power BI. So let's quickly run through the applied step we'll be doing in Power Query, then hop into our file. So in this video, we'll learn how to merge tables using the Power Query editor. That means we're going to combine our product table, our subcategory table, and our category table together. The way this process works is that we'll use the entire products table, adding the subcategory column from the subcategory table, and also adding the category column from the category table. This will give us a final combined products master table, with this single master table containing both the products data and the new columns. Alright, that covers the why of merging, so let's open our Power BI file and get started with the how. So now that we have our Power BI desktop file open, let's go ahead and discuss the changes that we're going to be making. If you take a look over here on the right, under our fields list, you will see that we do have our product subcategory, and product category table in here, and that's what we want to avoid. Now I want to very briefly just show you the relationship view that I took a screenshot of earlier. We will be covering it at more length in our next section, but I just want to show you those 3 relationships that we're trying to consolidate. So if I navigate over to the upper left-hand corner of my screen, there's a section called Relationships. I'm going to click that. Now I've organized these already in my model. These are drag and drop, so you can just move these around as needed if you decide to play around with yours a bit, but I just arranged them in a fashion so that you can clearly see that the relationships have to go all the way from my sales table through the products table to the subcategory table and finally to the category table on this nice long daisy chain of relationships to be able to get to the data that it wants. And we want to take those 3 tables and turn them into one. So to start with, let's go ahead and open our Power Query editor window, and we'll learn how to take these 3 tables and combine them into one. So I'm going to navigate up to the top and select the Edit Queries button. So to start, I'm going to go ahead and navigate over to my products query over on the left, and I'm going to select that. And this is going to be that base table that I mentioned in the slides, we're going to use this table as the foundation to then add the columns from our other two tables. Now it's important to note that if we're going to bring in data from another table, we need a key. Specifically, for any row, say like row 1, row 4, any of that, where is the key that's telling us what data from another table to bring in? Now if you draw your eyes over to the middle here, you will see something called product subcategory key. So we can join this with the subcategory table. If we actually take a quick scan through the table as well, you'll notice that there's no product category key yet. That's something that we'll see here in a minute. So to start with, and actually what I want to do is, as a good practice, drawing our eyes over to the applied steps on the right, the rename columns and change type I want to keep it as the very last 2 steps. So I'm actually going to go up to the remove column step and I'm going to insert that step right between these two. So selecting subcategory key, and I'm going to navigate up to the home ribbon up here and I'm going to select this button called merge queries, which says merge this query with another query in the file. So I'm going to select that. Do I want to insert a step? Good with that. And it's going to ask me what table do I want to merge with. The top thing is the table that I've just selected. That's my products table. And I want to merge this with the subcategory table. And you see these are where the keys come into play because I want to use my subcategory key from my product subcategory table and I want to merge that with the subcategory key over here. And you'll notice that it's automatically saying that the selection has matched 629 out of the first 629 rows. So every single row subcategory key in my product table found a matching value for my subcategory table down here. They both had complete matching sets of values. And left outer is fine to do. The join kind is something we'll cover in more advanced videos, but for now, just know that 99% of your merge types will be a left outer as your default. I'm going to hit OK. And if we draw our eyes over to the right, we'll notice that it added a new step. It says merged queries. Now, as a good practice, I always like to make sure to rename them, so I'm going to rename that from merged queries to merged with product subcategory. Perfect. Now draw your eyes over here. There's a new column that you can see that's added called product subcategory. And then this little like extract or expands looking symbol in the upper right hand corner of it. And specifically there's like table information behind each of these rows. Now if you hit this little button in the upper right hand corner, you have an option of picking which columns to add. Now, do you notice in here something called product subcategory key? Even though that's not in our original table, we can bring that key in from the subcategory table. So I only want 2 columns. I want the name, the product subcategory name, and I also want that category key, which will then let me merge this with my category table. Now this use original column name as prefix, we can turn that off, because otherwise what that means, if it's selected, the new column is going to be called product subcategory dot product subcategory name. It uses both the table name and the column name in the title, and most of the time we just don't need that. So I'm going to click that, select these 2, and hit OK. And I do want to insert a step. Beautiful. Now if we take a look, there are 2 new columns in my table. It added a step called expanded product subcategory, and I now have the subcategory name plus the category key. So we're going to rinse and repeat this one more time. I'm going to navigate and click on my category key. I'm going to select merge. I do want to insert another step. I'm going to merge that now because I have a category key. Now I can merge this with my category table. And I'm going to select product category key with product category key. It quickly confirmed that all 629 out of the first 629 rows match, so we have a complete matching set. And I'm going to hit OK. Let's quickly rename that applied step over here to merged with product category. And I'll do the same process. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to hit that little button at the upper right of the product category column. And I only want to bring in 1 column right here, which is product category name. And I'm going to hit OK. I do want to insert a step. That's good. Now that we brought in our category column, let's think for a second about what is left in our table that we don't really need. Specifically, we no longer need our product category column or our product subcategory column in our final table. Those were only needed to do the merges and bring in the data from those two tables. So we can actually select and delete these from our final data load. And I'm actually going to do that after the rename column step right here, because otherwise that might break this step. So I'm going to select rename columns. I'm going to select subcategory key. I'm going to go over and I'm going to select category key. I'm going to right click and I'm going to select remove columns. Beautiful. I removed those two. Now, as usual, with that change type, because we added a couple transformations, it can't find, if we go over here and look under the expression error, the column product subcategory key can no longer be found. Easy way to fix that, delete that change type, Control A, transform, and detect data type. Beautiful. Rescanned the table and added a change type over on the right. Now, it'll also be good, too, to go ahead and change the name of this table from product to product master. Perfect. Now, the last thing that we're going to do here, to close out this video, if we come over here to the left where our queries are, we now have our products master, so there's not really a point to load product category or subcategory. We can actually get rid of those. So if you actually right-click on product category, there's an option in here called Enable Load. If you uncheck this, it's going to say that disabling the load will remove the table from the report and any visuals. And that's fine. All we want is the query itself. So I'm going to hit continue. There we go. You notice now, coming over back to the left, that it's italicized. Same thing with subcategory. Going to do that as well. Disable load. Continue. And now I'm going to go to home and I'm going to select close and apply to load just my products master, because these two are now saved as a query. They're not anymore going to be loaded into the final data model. They're simply there to provide data to my single products master table. So I hit close and apply. Perfect. And you can see now that those three tables have become one. And again, I've organized this a little bit, and in our next video we're going to talk about relationship and this entire view and the concept of it. But you can see that we've now reduced our data redundancy down from 3 tables into 1. This will increase performance, and it allows us to maintain that star schema design that I talked about, which is really optimized for Power BI data models. All right, with that being said, I will see you in our next section.